Rafia Duffy is a sales professional. She was a sales professional for 12 years, but she began a transition into HR as a sales manager in an HR consulting firm. And she also started coaching people on CV reviews, LinkedIn optimization, and interview preparation alongside. But she fully transitioned into HR when she arrived in the United Kingdom. Her background is in Bachelor of Science, Computer Science at University of Ilorin. She is an HR project management and she's certified. She's a wife and mom of twins. Alumni, kindly give our favorite emoji to Rafia. Rafia, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, before we dive right into like the questions that we have from our hands, I would just like to know, because we as people that drive on stories, we like stories, we just want to know like, was it like a first instance love to HR analytics, or how did you, transition into HR analytics? How was it? Is there a backstory? If there is, we would like to know. To just start off the conversation in a light note. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here, and I'm happy to be here today. So yeah, I mean, HR has always been what I call it my alter ego because it's something that I've always loved to do. So I'll take it back to 20, I think around 2016, 2017 when I first got married and I stopped working because then I was living in Ogudu GRA in Lagos and my office was around Lakwe. There was quite a distance, so I had to stop working. And then I began to, learn new stuffs on LinkedIn, how to write CVs, how to answer interview questions. I mean, so that kind of got my interest in HR. And then I actually began to, try to transition into HR, but it was so difficult for me in Nigeria. But eventually, I got a role as a sales manager in an HR consulting firm. So that kind of broadened my knowledge in HR. And then alongside, I was doing coaching for family and friends. I was doing interview preparations for them. I would prepare people for the interview, and they would legit get those jobs. And I mean, most times when I prepare people for interview, they tell me that most of the questions that I prepared them for actually came out in the interviews and all that. So I'm like, okay. So this seemed to be something going on well for me. So I came into UK in 2023 February, and I got into Sky as customer sales advisor. I mean, that was the easiest way to get into Sky for me at that point. But I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to transition into sales. And so when I started customer sales advisor, I just gave myself a 1 year target. I was going to be on this role for 1 year, and I would make sure that I get what's it called, a role in HR. So I began to apply last year, January. I mean, I had like several interviews in about 3 departments in HR, and then I eventually got one in the talent acquisition department. And that was the beginning of the journey. And when I moved into the departments in July last year, I made very remarkable impacts. I mean, in a short while, considering the fact that, I was new to this, but using the knowledge I had gained from my previous, job as a sales manager in a HR consulting firm, I was able to make remarkable impact. I remember having won the onboarding star of the month for September in just 3 months of joining. It was meant to be a 6-month secondment role, and they made me permanent in 3 months. So yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey for me.
Yeah, it's good to hear your story and your backstory and to understand, how the passion towards it. And it's something that, really inspires me personally, because I know like people from sales background is to get like that drive into transitioning into, being an onboarding and being in the onboarding department and being an HR analyst. It takes like so much vision and drive. So it's great to have that from me. And it's something that definitely will inspire our alumni community. So yeah, let's just dive into the question so that it will not take much of your time. The first question from our end would be like, what is the hiring process like in the United Kingdom? We know that you currently work at Sky and you have done like several interview preps with people. We just want to know like, what is the hiring process like, and is there like any similarities, say differences between say the United Kingdom, US, or Canada? Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And for me, yes, there's a slight difference, of course, but I would also say that is not totally different. From my own experience. So first and foremost, I'm going to segment it into two. That's the way I've kind of prepared it so that you would really understand. So there are two kinds of recruitments in the UK. So there's one for entry level or graduate roles, and then I would classify the other one in an experienced, for an experienced role. So starting with the graduate role, recruiters' expectations and all that. So for the graduate role, the expectation starts with shortlisting. Your CV has to be, you know, it's not total because I remember when I got into UK, I got like almost 10 interviews in a space of 3 months, and it was with my same Nigerian CV. So it doesn't necessarily have to be different, but it's just having the right words there. We all know that they filter CVs using AI and all that, keywords. So for every vacancy that you see, read through the job description, look at the keywords they use. It may even be the same role, but different companies have their own keywords. Do you understand? Look at the keywords that they have in the job description. Make sure that your CV reflects that keyword so that when they filter with keywords, your CV is going to be one of the CVs that will come up for the recruiter. That's number one. Number two, if you read through job description, make sure you have at least maybe 70% of the job requirements. And you see for the remaining 30%, you don't necessarily have to know it, but make sure that you can prepare for it before the interview. There's always time. If you apply for a job, shortlisting could take like 2 months, sometimes 1 month, sometimes even 2 months or 3 months. So just make sure that you make up for the remaining 30% that you don't have. And then for entry level roles, especially, if they have put it in the requirement that it's a 3 years experience they need. So you see that 10 years experience you've had from Nigeria, cut it down. Because I remember I've had a feedback before when I was searching for a job when I first arrived, and they said I was overqualified for that job. And the reason I got that feedback was because I kept on sending emails to that recruiter asking why I wasn't shortlisted because I knew that I was qualified for that role. And then I got that feedback. Most times you don't get feedback. They just send you an email and say, unfortunately. Most times you don't get the feedback. So make sure, so if they've requested for 3 years and below or 5 years and below, please make sure you tweak your CV. You see, forget all those your first 5 years experience. Just focus on, and then focus on the one that is most relevant to the job you're applying for. That's for experience, that's for entry level and graduate roles. And then most times for graduate roles also, you have skill assessments that they usually do for graduate roles in the UK. So the skill assessments comprises of maybe verbal reasoning, a bit of what's this mathematics called, and then there's also the video parts. And when you're doing the video, first assume that you're speaking to an actual human. That way you'll be able to convey your message well. And then when you're talking about it, even when you're, because most times the video interviews, they'll ask you about scenarios and all that. When you're speaking about scenarios, yes, you use the STAR approach, but apart from using the STAR approach, you need to put in your feelings. This is one big thing that they look at for when you're using the STAR approach. So now you have said, this is the situation, this is what I did. Okay, how did it make you feel? How did it make the, what's it called, the whole team feel? How did it impact us? They need that touch of feeling so that it doesn't look like it's a rehearsed answer. Do you understand? And then the next stage for a graduate role or entry level role is going to be interview. Of course, when you're doing your interviews, you use the STAR approach. Like I said, make sure there's a bit of feelings. And when you're being asked a question during interview, every time they ask you a question for a scenario, maybe they say, okay, tell me a time where you had a challenging customer, for example, for a sales role. Please do not, because you already have a scenario that you've planned out and all that, do not just start talking. Think. We all know that you have rehearsed it, but just pause and think, even if you have to, act it. Like, I'm going to remember a time in 2016, you have to pause. Let them know that you actually thought of that answer so that it doesn't look rehearsed. Because we've had times that we've given that feedback that is rehearsed. Even though everybody, if you're preparing for an interview, it's only natural for you to have scenarios that you may have rehearsed. Do you understand? So you need to just take a pause, think back, and just give them that feeling that you're thinking about what to say. And then, of course, lastly, every organization, every recruiter wants to make sure that they are recruiting somebody who is culture fit. So it means that before the interview, you must have done your homework. Look at their culture, look at what is most important to them. I'll use Sky as an example. I work with Sky. And we are very big on continuous improvement and diversity. It means that if I'm answering an interview question with Sky, I would make sure that I use scenarios when I have showcased what's it called? These traits. That's okay. I'm also big on diversity. I have done this, I have done that. I had worked with maybe people from other nationalities. This was how I treated them. So they want to make sure that you are culture fit, because it's one thing to have the skills, it's another thing to be culture fit. And then the second part of recruitment is going to be for experienced hires. So experienced hires means people who are experienced. So maybe, i.e., analysts, directors, and or maybe sales managers, or even experienced sales role or HR manager. So for experienced hires, it's quite different from entry level. So for entry level, the recruiter shortlists, but for experienced roles, the recruiter shortlists about maybe 15 people, and then the hiring manager further shortlists to 7 people. So you're going to go through 2 shortlists, but of course, they're not going to announce that to you. They just tell you, okay, we have shortlisted. But this shortlist is usually the recruiter gives the hiring manager, submits about 15 people who they have shortlisted, and then the hiring manager further streamlines and maybe plans to interview maybe 7 people, and then the further shortlist. So you're going to go through 2 shortlists. However, it's going to be the same process. Your CV has to be good, having good keywords. I mean, the most important keywords. Make sure that you have, and then for experience roles, especially on your CV, make sure you have your major milestones on your CV. So when I say major milestones, your accomplishments on every role. So, for example, I'm currently in HR. Like I said, I won the onboarding star of the month in September. I was made permanent in 3 months because of the outstanding audit compliance. I had 100% audit compliance back to back. I put all of that on my CV. Whether you like it or not, do not downplay your accomplishments. If I created the first ever standard operating procedure for the team, I put it on my CV, which means that if I'm applying for maybe another HR role that has to do with maybe change initiatives, looking at the fact that I created a standard operating procedure that wasn't existing before, that gives me an edge over every other candidate. So do not downplay your accomplishments, or i.e., you're applying for a sales role. Put it there, brag about it. Oh, I achieved 120% of my what's it called, sales target month this, month that, giving the total revenue of maybe over 50,000 euros or 50,000 pounds. Put all your accomplishments for you. In fact, your accomplishments speaks louder than your job roles. Do you get? So that's it for experience. But and of course, when it comes to interview, the interview process is also going to be the same. Use the STAR approach. Make sure you have a touch of feelings and needs. Do not answer like it's a rehearsed what's it called, answer, all of those. And if you're going for maybe analyst positions, especially, and I want to believe that this company also focuses on what's it called?
Yeah.
Data analytics and all. So if you're going for
Yes.
data analysis, most times you're going to have presentation as part of your interview. So they might give you like, it could be Excel, it could be for you to do something on Power BI, it could be Tableau. I mean, depending on the job role. If you're a data analyst, they might ask you to use maybe Tableau or Power BI or Excel. If you're a data scientist, they might ask you to use Python, they might ask you to use all of these things. So there's always going to be a presentation part of it. So prepare for that also. Most times, in fact, 90% of times for analytics role, there's going to be a presentation part where you would, of course, you have to showcase if you know how to use this visualization tools. And then the last part also, culture fits. But for experience roles also, yeah. But for analysts, data analysts and the likes, they may not really focus on culture fit because, I mean, this kind of role is more of skills. However, it's something that you would also like to, prepare for. And then in general, when it comes to adapting to global market in 2024, you need to move with the trend. The trend changes every year. And even for organizations, their focus changes every year. This year, an organization might tell you that they are focusing on continuous improvements. Next year, they could tell you that they're focusing on digital competence. Look at it, look at the trends. Agile, I mean, this agile thing is what is also in vogue. Always make sure that you're moving with the trend. And I mean, that way, if you prepare. And one other thing you should know about experience hires, yes, just to add, is that, with experience hires, like I said, the recruiter shortlist, the hiring manager shortlist. And trust me, for the hiring manager to shortlist you, it means that they want you, they already have an interest. The only job you have to do is to convince that person that you are the best person out of maybe the 7 people. But for them to have shortlisted you to that point, the hiring manager definitely wants you. This is not just a CV. This is not just like an application doing the filtering and using keywords to filter. For the hiring manager to shortlist you, the hiring manager, there's something about your CV that has attracted the hiring manager. All you need to do is to prove it. So in fact, you're one step ahead. All you need to do is to prove it. And then generally, for UK especially, what I tell people, as long as you're not a student, I would always advise that you go for experience roles. Reason being that most of their citizens do not go for experience roles or do not have most of the required skills for experience roles. So trust me, you have an edge. Like foreigners have an edge. I mean, because the way it is, like, I want to believe most people here are Nigerians or even from the places. We like where we're coming from, the competition is stiff. You have several certifications, like a lot. If you come to this place, go for experience roles. Don't have that mindset and say, oh no, they're not going to give me this job or this and that. Or even if you come here and you need to do some petty jobs for survival, maybe like warehouse jobs and all that, do not give up on that dreams, because they need you. They need you more than you need them. Trust me. And you're going to get the jobs. Just make sure you have a very good CV. Your CVs, you don't have to write like for roles that you've done like 5, 10 years ago. Just put like 2 bullet points, but focus on the most important roles for the job. And I mean, that way you will ace it. I mean, I hope I've
Thank
answered
you
your
so much.
question
Yes,
correctly.
yes, yes. That was very detailed. Thank you so much, Rafia. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Samuel, please, we'll take questions after the series of questions with Rafia. So we'll take questions at the end. So yeah, I'm glad that you touched like key points or things that we were meaning to ask, and that will just compile some questions together. Shows that, yeah. And one thing I just also wanted to mention is that at analytics we also focus on the in-demand um jobs, and that's why our
Mm,
programs are like we have data analytics, we have HR analytics, we have agile and project
mm,
management, we have data engineering. Oh, okay, Samuel, data engineering and financial analytics, 8 programs that we're running. And, our alumni are really, and we also put them on CV reviews and all that. So it's really great to see that you are actually assenting to what we do as, being great and all. So it will bring me to the next question, because you were mentioning interviews. And I just really want to know, or we just really want to know, like, how can one prepare for, like, how do one have, like, the perfect interview?
okay.
Say to you're preparing for a role, and definitely experience, because we preach experience over credential at analytics, and you have you've done your research. How do you prepare for such interviews? Are there materials, are they like YouTube channels that can help guide them? How do you actually prepare? What are those things that you need to know when you're preparing? And also, just like a two-in-one question, just to add that you mentioned that it was your CV from Nigeria that you also adapt when you got to UK, and it was one of these things that prepared you for that role. So how do you prove like your tech value, despite the fact that you have experience from Nigeria and you're, transitioning into another country or into the UK hiring process? How do you prove such tech value, regardless of um all the local experiences that you've had? So yeah.
Okay, good. So the first question is how to prepare for an interview, or materials to use to prepare for an interview. See, one thing I tell people is, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, make sure that ChatGPT or Meta AI on your phone is your Bible or your Quran. See, there's nothing you can prepare. And the good thing also is the way interviews are segmented. And even before they start the interview, they will tell you how your interview is going to go. It's going to be competency based. Then there's going to be general questions, and there's going to be presentation, like I said. So for competency based questions, the good thing about them is, trust me, I've attended enough interviews to know the kind of questions that they ask in competency-based questions. Most times they are general questions. However, you can use ChatGPT to just prepare. So now, how to use ChatGPT? That brings me to something else that I should have mentioned. How to use ChatGPT? You need to know how to ask ChatGPT your question so that it can give you the correct answer. So now, if you're asking, you're going to be saying, okay, I'm preparing for so role. This is what I have. You would have even copied your CV. You will copy everything on your CV. Make sure in one message, attach, like, put it below your question, and ChatGPT would fine tune that and tell you how to prepare. However, but there are general questions, like most questions they would ask you, has there been a time? And also, it depends on what the job focuses on. If it's a job that you have to really collaborate, like maybe you have to do stakeholder engagement, basically. And I know that in data analytics, is so much of stakeholder engagement because you'll be presenting your facts to stakeholders and all that. So if you're doing stakeholder engagement, anybody stakeholder engagement would expect that the person has collaboration skills, the person has communication skills. So now your questions around this are definitely going to be, has there been a time that you've had to like lead a team to achieve something? How did you do it? Has there been a time that you've worked with a difficult colleague that was making your job difficult? That way they want to see how you're able to make the best out of everybody. Because you can't say because you have a difficult colleague and then you start fighting the person because they are not giving you the support they want. You need to find a way to make it work, because the objective is what is most important. So general questions like, has there been a time that you've had to work with maybe a challenging situation, or has there been a time that you've had to, I remember one particular question, has there been a time that you've had to do something right instead of doing something easy? So you need to think, like, you think of the weirdest scenarios. You have, even though during your interview, it's just going to be about 4 to 5 competency-based questions, but please prepare for up to 15, because you never can say which one is going to work. And you know the way interviews are. I'll be honest with you, interviews are also largely subjective. It depends on what the hiring manager wants. Do you understand? But then, based on your CV, based on the job you're going for, ask, use ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT what questions can possibly be asked on this role. And well, the good thing is, for data analysts, data scientists, all of those people, they don't really, the kind of competency-based questions you do is more on your presentation. That's the good thing about jobs like this. So you may not necessarily be asked like all these very weird questions and all that. Is mostly what you can do with the tools that you have. But they may also ask that, maybe has there been a time where you worked with large data? How did you do it? What did you do? And that's the time for you to brag. Please brag, especially if it's an experienced role. These people want to hire the best of the best. Trust me, they want to hire the best of it. And trust me, they know you're good. For you to even be called for that interview, you are good. So make sure you speak about when you have worked on large data, how you have saved a company from, well, I know a bit of data analytics with the predictive analysis and all that. This is what you've been able to save the company. This is how you've been able to save the company from losing so amounts. Every organization wants to hear that. They want to know that you're a savior. They want to know that you can help them save money. So you just focus on all of these things. Do you get? And like I said, just prepare for as many questions as you can, because it's subjective, and some hiring manager might just even ask you a question outside. I've seen interviews where you are asked, what do you do outside work? You may not have um you may not have expected that kind of question. What do you do outside work? Because they want to know if you actually live, if you have a life outside work, because you should have a life outside work. And don't be afraid to say that you love to spend your time with family. You love to spend your time with friends. You love to spend your time hanging out with people. Um, Whites are not like black people. They like, in fact, they like when you have a life outside work, because nobody is going to give you a job to do after work. So whatever you spend your time on after work doesn't concern them. So talk about it. Let them know that you have a life outside the job. Like, be free to say it. Say you like to hang out with your friends. Sometimes they ask you what motivates you, because everybody knows that sometimes, jobs can be really, um, really, how do I put it?
Tasking. Yeah, tasking.
Tasking, yes, exactly. So they want to know how you feel out, what motivates you, what keeps you going. If they ask you what motivates you, if it's your family that motivates you, say it. Nobody is going to cut down your points for that. Do you understand? So I personally like their interview process here. And one more thing, see, no matter the number of unfortunately you receive here, do not think it's because you're not good. Please, that's one thing that I want you to know. Do not think it's because you're not good. So there are different reasons why they may not take you. Honestly, different reasons. Like I said, there are 7 people who are going to be, interviewing for the same position. For you to be amongst those 7 people that were shortlisted, it means that you're good. And when you go for the interview, give it your best. But even if you don't end up getting it, ask for feedback. And trust me, people appreciate you asking for feedbacks. I've seen a situation where somebody asked for a feedback and they actually kept, I don't know if you know what they call keep in view. They kept that person in view just because of that singular act. That's okay, this person took the rejection well. And this person is saying, yes, you have rejected me, but can you please give me feedback so that going forward, and I'm really like, even in the feedback message, the person had said, oh, that like, I was really looking forward to working with you and all that, but now that it has happened, please, going forward, I want to know what to do well and all that. They kept that person in view. And when another opening came up, they contacted that person to apply. And of course, they were the ones that contacted that person. So no matter the recruitment process, the person was going to get the job anyway. So it doesn't mean that you're not good, because you can get 100 unfortunately messages in UK. Oh. Trust me, but it doesn't mean you're not good. So don't let that bring you down at all. It doesn't mean you're not good. You can even get your job from Nigeria. People get analytics job from Nigeria. So just focus. And then another thing you can do, being a data scientist, whatever, you can also have a digital CV. Digital CV is also something that I really recommend. So your digital CV is like a digital portfolio. It's just like a link where you also put on top of your CV. This digital CV means that, you're a data analyst. For you to have a digital CV, it means that you know what you're doing. And then on your digital CV, when they go to your digital portfolio, it has a list of projects that you have worked on. They can see all the projects that you've done. They can see all the projects you've done with companies, all the things you've done. If you've attended events, data analytics events, take pictures, put everything, upload everything there. Your digital CV is like your biography, your life. Put everything there. These are other things that kind of gives you, because digital CV is fancy. If I have 2 candidates and I have one with a digital CV, the other one, and it means that this person is innovative. This person is forward
Yeah.
thinking, you know. And then the second question, please, can you recap? Because I can't remember again. I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So the second question I was mentioning, how you said your CV was like you created your CV when you're in Nigeria, and then when you go to UK, it actually dried. So both of those questions that we got in our last community engagement for our alumni in Nigeria. They're like, is it possible for them to be in Nigeria, use Nigeria CV, and apply for roles in outside Nigeria? And it's something you've actually answered when you were responding to the question that it's very possible. And so I think Olajire is actually assenting to what you were saying, that in his first, second interviews or first interviews, the what motivates you question pops up, and it's really something that they actually ask about. So yeah, that's what I was trying to ask you.
Okay, and just to add to that, yes, there is They don't let anybody deceive you to come and pay for one interview, one CV thing in this UK, because I know that there are lots of people on Instagram that'll tell you pay £30 for me to review your CV and all that. No, your CV. When I was in Nigeria, because I was already preparing to come, I think from September 2022, I got a job interview from Nigeria, from a UK company. In fact, the only reason they didn't give me that job was because they didn't have like sponsorship. They wanted somebody in the UK, but I used my Nigerian and I was in Nigeria. There was a time I got an interview from US with the same Nigerian CV. So that's a big lie. As long as your CV has the major requirements, like I said, if you have 4 years and below work experience, what you should have on your CV is a career objective. If you have above 4 years experience, what you should have on your CV is a career summary. That's number one. On top of it, your name, of course, your email address, and your mobile number. Then after that, you can have like your functional competencies. So now, when I say competencies, you don't need to say, I have communication skills, I have this. No, there's a way you write, you need to write it in a catchy way. Effective communication, reporting and analysis, this and this. They are words that you should use for functional competencies. And next is definitely going to be your work experience. Start with your current experience. Look for the keywords, like nice keywords. So now you're going to personalize every job that you have done. So you don't say, you just don't write on your CV, this is provided this. No, I provided blah blah blah. And if you're referring to your past experience, it should be in past tense. I developed, I did this. And then your current job role should be in present tense. And then, like I said, every job should have a milestone. I mean, for every job you do, you must have contributed in one way or the other. Do not undersell yourself. Put all your milestones there. Even if you won an award before, put it there. Yes, it's not easy to win an award. I mean, out of how many employees you won the award. So yes, put it there that you won an award. And also on your on LinkedIn, engage. When you see people with similar job roles. Okay, I'll use for example now. I remember I once worked in a data analytics company, Purview. That was in 2021. And I remember that time there was this guy I really admired on LinkedIn, Eitayo. He's the CEO of what's this place called again? Oh, you something. How am I forgetting Eitayo's company? Okay, gosh. He's the CEO of a data analytics company also. And he's a young guy. I just really admired him. So I used to follow him back to back. I'll comment on is this such that when Eitayo visited Nigeria, because he's also based in the UK, he sent me a message on LinkedIn and said we should see that he just liked my drive because I also used to post for my company and all that. And then I met Eitayo at that point. We took pictures together, we talked, and when I came into UK, he actually wanted me to work for him. But because I got something better and all that, he wanted me to work for him. So it meant that I got like a ready-made job getting into UK. That's the power of engagement. So don't just have your CV. So if you have people with like minds who have posted something about data analytics, share your views. There are 1,001 people on LinkedIn who talk about data analytics. Share your views because you will be shocked. My husband applied for a job recently, and that recruiter went to LinkedIn to also view my husband. So these recruiters do it. You never can say, and that's because the recruiter was not even on premium. Because if he was on premium, we wouldn't have even known that he viewed us, except you are also on premium. So, like, just have the correct things on your CV. That's all. And your education, that's all. You don't need, honestly, you can do your CV yourself. You don't need to pay anyone for your CV. I've always done my CV myself. I've done CVs for people. You don't need to pay anyone for a CV. It's something you can do yourself. Just put your major milestone. Your CV your is your way to brag. Brag there. Write everything that you have accomplished. It's not easy. Write it there. And trust me, you'll get the interviews.
Yes. I think someone was trying to remind you of the name of the company, Utibia. So yeah,
Utiva, yes. I know that it starts with you. Yeah,
yeah.
Utiva.
So Yeah, so it's great that you mentioned networking, because that's one thing we've also hammered on. Like, look for unconventional ways for you to get these jobs. You don't have to always say you want to stick to applying. There are ways, like you mentioned. Yes, there are ways, like you mentioned, that our alumni can also look to. And thank you so much for that thought. I know it's something they'll go back to. So yeah, another thing that would really want to jump on is the myth behind saying you have a specific credentials, you have a specific degree, and then you applying for another role. Like, there's this myth around people saying, oh, if you don't have a degree in so if you don't have a certain certification, it is mandatory for such roles. Now, so the question is, are there specific degrees or certification that are, highly sought after by recruiters, in UK? And
Mhm.
how to someone, yeah, are they specific, are they such, like, when it comes to skills related or experience related roles, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, are there specific degrees or certification that are required, or it is just like the skills that you mentioned? So what are your thoughts about that
Okay.
myth? Yeah.
Good. So for this meet, I'll be honest with you, in Canada is not a meet. In Canada, for any role, if you're going to go to HR, you must have a certification in HR. If you're going to be doing finance, you must have a certification in finance for Canada. But for UK, it's more of, see, even if you don't have this certification, if you can show that you have transferable skills, and like I always say, every job is connected. There is no job that you would not collaborate. There is no job that you would not be on projects. There is no, see, there are some very common things. And then if you can prove to them beyond reasonable doubt that, and using myself as an example, all my life, I've always done sales. And now I'm in HR. And just within 6 months, I've moved within two teams in HR. It's just for you to show that you have transferable skills. However, having the certification is, of course, is definitely okay. But the mistake people make, for example, like when people come to UK, they hear, oh, project managers are getting jobs. You go and do project management. Oh, these are doing it. No, just don't jump on courses. You need to be sure that you really want that thing. Trust me. See, I did computer science in school. I've been certified in SQL since 2010. Even before it became pure water. I've, I've, I've been certified. I did my SQL, Oracle SQL. I did the first stage, Oracle Certified SQL Expert in 2010. In fact, I had 98%. So it wasn't like I passed it. And then I actually wanted like a business intelligence role and all that. I mean, for the longest time, it didn't come. And then I just switched to sales. But then I realized that I felt like I was even better off in sales. And then I started liking HR again. So now the point is, now I'm in UK, and because everybody is doing project management or business analysis, I have to go and do business analysis and all that. Yes, I've also done Excel. I'm learning Power BI. It's not like I can't do all these things, but they are, because I know that in HR, there's analytics in HR. So I can be HR analyst. I can be in people analytics and all that. So don't do it because everybody is doing it, or you have to have a certificate. As long as you can convince them. See, if you tell anybody that this thing is salt, as long as you can convince them that it is salt, my sister, it is salt. That's the truth. An interview is about conviction. Yes, it's good to have the certification. It's not like, in fact, in the interview, you can even mention to them that you're on the way, you're preparing for that certification. That in fact, you're going to be getting it in the next day, you're reading up for it. They just want to know that you're making an effort. So you don't have to have everything. Because if somebody has posted a job and says that they want a data scientist, and you know Python, you know SQL, you know Excel, the fact that you haven't done the Python certification, but I mean, if you come to an interview and you prove to me that you know it, I give you an assessment and you do it well. What am I doing? What am I using your certification for? What I need is your skill. But certifications are good. Yes, it's good. It's fancy for you to say, oh, I have my certification and all that. But yeah, okay, so like myself, I have SQL certification. But because I've not worked with it for the longest time, if you bring somebody without SQL certification, but the person has just learned SQL, and the person has worked like for 2 years, the person is definitely better than me. But I have the paper, yes, I have the certification. But the person is better than me. So it's for you to show, even if you've not done it before, it's for you to show that you have transferable skills. So, for example, if this is your first time of doing data analytics, and maybe the only work experience you have is with analytics, and it's just maybe for 4 months and all that, if you can prove to them that, yes, I have 4 months experience with these people, but I've also volunteered with these people, and I've also on my own worked with large data and all that. If you can put all of this together, talk about it very well. Trust me, interviews are not for the best people. Interviews are for the best talkers. So even if you are good and you can't talk well, sorry, it's still going to be the same thing. So yeah, it's good to have it, but your skills are very important.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much, Rafia, for that. I think you really, really delve into, the main core of it, because we have like also a percentage of our participants, they are still in training, and we also advise that, apply even without, if you have not like finished all the old course and you are still in training, you can still apply. So I'm glad that you're also assenting to this, and you're also in one way encouraging them to say, okay,
Yeah.
apply, go for that roles even before you get those certifications. So yeah, so before we start taking questions, if maybe a wrap, not like really a wrap up, but yeah, would be like, what are those from the recruiter's perspective? What are those, tools, resources that you would point out to anyone that is seeking to find their very first job in tech? What
Hmm.
are those tools?
So for tech, it's going to be LinkedIn. For
Mm-hmm.
UK, LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor. There's one Visa Jobs HQ, but I think you have to pay for subscription for that. Visa Jobs HQ, Glassdoor, yes, Indeed. Yeah, and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, trust me, do not underrate the power of LinkedIn. I personally have gotten 4 jobs through LinkedIn. So I can tell you clearly that LinkedIn works. My job
Mm-hmm.
with Fairview, I didn't apply for the job. I was contacted through LinkedIn. My job with Rats and Agates, the HR consulting firm, I was contacted through LinkedIn. I didn't see the adverts. I once did a 3 months project with Opera in 2019. I was contacted via LinkedIn. My job with Electronic Pay Plus was from LinkedIn. And you know the good thing, if a recruiter contacts you, the power is with you. Trust me, the power is with you. When I was in Payview, I was paid the same salary as my manager. Yeah, because they were the ones that came for me. So like the power is with you. So don't underestimate the power of LinkedIn. And yes, but it's just that with LinkedIn, engage, engage, engage. You can't just be applying for jobs on LinkedIn and the recruiter is seeing your page and they can't see anything that you've done before. So you see all these projects that you've done with analytics, put it on LinkedIn. Write what the project entails. Write what you were able to do with the project, how you were able to work with the organization, how you were able to give recommendations for the organization. Write everything. Yes, you did it as a group, but personalize it because you were part of the group. And I mean, you had a major contribution. So engage on LinkedIn. When you see the likes of CEOs of this data firms, and then also for everybody, I mean, this is just like a take home. I'm sure that you have some companies that you really want to work with. You can't just be saying that, I'm dreaming to work with Google. And you're not following one person from Google, not one person. I mean, if you're not following anybody, how do you know news? How do you like because if you really want to work with somebody, like I said, immediately where I was following a Itayo, even my husband was like, what is it? Like I would comment on everything he posts. I would share my views. I would do this. Then I like back to back that he noticed me. And when he came to Nigeria, he said, I want to see this girl. And he wanted to poach me from Purview then. And then I told him my plans of coming to UK. And he said, okay, when I also get to UK, that's I can work for him. But he wanted to poach me from Purview then. So engage. don't underestimate the power of LinkedIn. Oh. I know that, yes, you can get enough, unfortunately, from LinkedIn, but at the same time, LinkedIn works, yes, especially for tech. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
that. I think we'll take 5 questions from the comment section, and then you can give us like your take home advice.
We can't hear you. I think she's gone off. Hmm. I think she's gone off. We'll just have to wait for her. Hmm. Okay, she's back.
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that. Nigeria happened to me. Yeah, like we say down here. So yeah, like I was saying, I can't find the questions anymore. But I think one of the questions was talking about how the culture fit. But yeah, I was also saying that so our alumni is on the call that our referral bonus has been topped up to $40. So if you refer someone, your family, your friends to get on the next cohort, February cohort, you get a bonus of $40 and you can claim it. And yeah, so the question, so you can send your question. I think someone was mentioning about culture fit, like how do you prepare to be culture fit? Yeah, I think the question was around that before I dropped the call. And we also have another question from Uchenna Okocha. He said, can you add some of the keywords in your professional summary? You mentioned that keywords
Yeah,
need to be there. Can you add? So I think you can
definitely.
send your questions so that Sophia to just take them before she dropped our last advice. Also, Chinedu Opera said, can you apply for jobs with no experience? Can I manufacture experience and put on my CV?
Okay. So, where do let me start with this last person. There's no such thing as no experience because how do I put it? See, even growing up, you've done things in the home. You've done things for your siblings. You've like even the way you look out for your siblings is a skill. It means that you you communicate well, you do this, everything. There's no such thing as no experience. And then also, there must have been a time that's even the worst, you must have gone for NYSC. There's no such thing as, even if you were a teacher, because I know that most people did teaching job, I also did. Even if you were a teacher, you will not just put on your CV. If you go to my CV, when I still had my NYSC experience, but now I no longer put it there because it's relevant. But I mean, when I started my career, for my NYSC, I was a mathematics teacher. I did not put mathematics teacher there. See, the way I put the title, I can't remember the exact thing I used. In fact, and in the job description, I facilitated training, this for students. Is you that like you're going to write your CV the way you want to be addressed. So there's no such thing as no experience. There must have been something that you had done before. It could even be volunteering. And if at all you've not done anything before, you can start looking for volunteering roles. And then the good thing also is for you to be on the score, maybe part of the analytics training, that's also an experience for you. Or if you don't have any at all, try to look for where People are looking for volunteers because, I mean, they are happy to give you a job if you don't want to get paid. Look for someone. You can reach out, you can even reach out to people on LinkedIn and let them know that you're happy to volunteer. And trust me, if you send to 50 people, you will get responses. It's not everybody that will just shank you. And even if you don't have LinkedIn Premium, you can do 1 month free. The good thing about that is, so even for those that you cannot reach out to, you can actually contact them if you have LinkedIn Premium. That's what I did when I was looking for a job. And I'll give you a little story. I hope I'm not taking your time. So in 2019, I've always wanted to work for Opera in Nigeria. I really liked that company. I really wanted to work for Opera. I'm like, okay, how do I even get Opera job and all that? And I think that time I was working with one company, Waka for Town. So I was following some directors in Opera. I reached out to about 10 people in Opera. Do you know none of them replied me? 6 months after, a director, one of them, contacted me and said, "Hi, Rafiat, you once reached out to me. I have a 3 month project. Are you happy to jump on the project? You will be paid for it." I was like, why not? And then I came on the project. 3 months, I was paid 500K. This person did not reply me for 6 months. So sometimes if they don't reply you, it's because they don't have anything at that time to offer you. That's number one. Number two, the reason some people don't reply you is because of the way you are chatting them. You cannot be on LinkedIn and be chatting the director. Hi, good morning. What are you greeting him for? You guys are not friends. He doesn't know you. You will send one message. Hello, good morning. You expect him to answer, good morning. Okay, how are you? Fine. No, send everything you need to send in one message. Hi, hope this message finds you well. This is what I want to do for your company. This is what I have to offer. I have skills in this, and this, and I'm able to do this because I have done this before. You need to show value. Send everything in one message and send it to the person. I'm not saying they will reply you, but trust me, even if all of them does not reply you, maybe one person would reply you. And another thing, no, I'm going to save this because that's what I'm going to tell you as my goodbye message. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
reach out to these people. They are human beings. Trust me, some of them always reply, and some would not reply you. But I mean, still try it. Reach out to them. Tell them, but in one message, you have to say what you have to offer and what you want to do for them. Don't go and be even me that I'm not a director. I don't reply people when they say good morning, good afternoon to me on LinkedIn. And I'm nobody, I'm not a director. So imagine a director and you're telling the person, good morning, how are you? Why are you greeting him? Or why are you greeting her? So you get, so just, I mean, just try all of these things. Look at things that you've done before. Even if it's volunteering, anything, just put it in there that this is what you've done before. There's no such thing as no experience. Trust me, look back at what you have done in the last 3 years. You realize that you actually have that experience. It's because you don't see it as an experience. It's probably because you were a teacher, you were this. No, instead of teacher, write facilitator. Instead of this, like there are better words. Ask ChatGPT, give me a better word for a teacher. They will give you. There are other things. So you can make your job fancy. It doesn't have to be this. So I know that most people always they don't consider those experiences, or even you're working
yeah.
as a store assistant, this and that. No, ask ChatGPT, give me a better word for store assistant role. And it will give you something fancy. Even you, by the time you see the job description and everything, you'll be proud of yourself. Like, okay, this is me. So yeah, there's no such thing
Yeah.
as no experience.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, we have another question from Sonny Adams, who says, if I have the link to my portfolio and GitHub on my LinkedIn profile, must I still post my individual projects like my visualization on my LinkedIn page?
Yeah, so the digital portfolio, for example, is like a link. You can put it on LinkedIn, you have it on your CV. However, because it's not everybody that will go click on that, except they want to reach out to you for a job. I'm not going to go to somebody's page, except I want to reach out to the person for a job. So you still have to post just to engage just to engage your page. And then for everybody to see that, okay, this person is actually doing something. So it's just for you to engage. So if you've done a project, put it there. Your LinkedIn is where you brag. I post everything on my LinkedIn. See, you can check Rafia Todofin on LinkedIn. I post, even when they gave me on Body Star of the Month in September, I posted it. I post everything on my LinkedIn because that's the only way you can showcase your job. That's your personal branding. And then
Yeah.
for your LinkedIn also, make sure that your title on LinkedIn is not just, so for example, don't just write sales manager at Analytics. No, you are something, there's something called personal branding. So outside being a sales manager, what are you? So that's why you have people have some different titles and they separate it with strokes and all that on LinkedIn. So you can write data scientist, data analyst, put your stroke thingy then, sales manager at Analytics. That way, if a recruiter sees you, yes, this person is a sales manager in so company. At the same time, this person is this. There is something that you are. There's personal branding. Your life doesn't revolve around your company. There's something called personal branding. So personalize it. Post your jobs on your LinkedIn without fear of anybody from your organization. Then also on LinkedIn, activate open to work. If you activate open to work, it means that if recruiters are searching, you would also be part of people that will come up with it. So activate open to work. And the good thing is you can personalize it. In fact, you can activate open to work to the UK, maybe the countries, even if you're in Nigeria, some countries that you want, put all those countries. So you will get any job opening in that company. And then also, if recruiters are also searching in that company, you might also pop up. So your LinkedIn is also something that you should work on. It's not just LinkedIn, is not just LinkedIn. There are so many other things that you do on LinkedIn that can help
Thank you
you.
so much for that, Afia. I think I can testify to the power of LinkedIn because I remember when we were looking for facilitators to host this HR thing. I remember, I browsed through LinkedIn and I was searching and searching and searching. It was a long search. And when I found Afia, I'm like, okay, this is the right person that we're looking for. And, it's really because I saw onboarding. I'm like, oh, this is the right person for this session. And, it really shows the power of LinkedIn. So,
Yeah,
Uchenna, you're asking, do you know the directors? Also, on the company page on LinkedIn, you can get people that work with them, and you can contact them via that.
yeah.
I think we'll
Apart
just
from
take the
that,
people that are
also,
raising.
let me
Yeah.
also add that to her. So
Okay.
even if you don't go to the company, so the search button on LinkedIn, just search director
Yeah.
at Google. It will bring up all the directors at Google.
Exactly.
Search director at Oracle. It will bring up all of them. And don't be afraid. Don't think you can apply to big companies. Oh, see, you can apply. Maybe it's human beings that are working there. Yes, they are all human beings. Some of them don't even know half of what you know. So yes, just search director at so company. It will bring up all the directors, and then you can try to connect with them. And when you're connecting with them, you can just put a short message. And you see that short message also. Ask ChatGPT to draft something, a short message for you. That because these directors, if they just see, some of them may not accept, but if they see a catchy short message, if somebody says, "Oh, I'm a data scientist, blah blah blah," and this, just short description of yourself. Yes, not everybody wants to associate with success. So yeah, they'll they'll definitely accept you.
Yes. I think we've done enough of the chat, but we'll take Danielle. Danielle. Let me see if I can unmute you from here. Or can you unmute from your end? Danielle. Let me see if I can unmute you. Yes, you can try unmuting Danielle or Dorcas. One of you. I don't know if you can unmute. Dorcas, can you unmute so that we can have you? Oh, I don't know why she can't. So you can try unmuting again, Dorcas, from your end. I don't know why. I really want to take someone before Rafia give us. I don't know why I can't unmute. Oh, I think it's the same thing that happened to
Yeah. But can she type her
Dorcas. Can
message?
you unmute now? See if we can unmute now. Mm,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, I can
Okay.
perfect,
unmute now.
perfect, perfect.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Yeah,
Good
my
Good
evening.
evening,
question is,
Dorcas.
yeah, I'm trying to optimize my LinkedIn now. But the last employability session I joined, someone was talking. I mean, the facilitator was talking
Facilitator.
about, was talking about optimizing LinkedIn. And so I did something, but I don't know if it is right. Presently, I work as a social care worker at a council house.
Okay.
So, so I now try to put it in social care work. I mean, social care analytics. So I don't know if that is okay because LinkedIn was asking me to what's it called? To I mean, so that I can ascertain that I am actually I am actually a worker at this place of work. I don't know, this check like is bringing it's showing me to put in that check, that mark, that check. I've forgotten what it's called.
To be
So
verified. Is that it?
yeah, yes, to verify verification. So I don't know if that's okay. Yeah, so I don't know if that is okay to like I don't know if I can leave it that way. That's just my concern because I'm like if I verified it and maybe someone at my place of work sees that, would they not question me or something like that?
So if you verify that you are a social worker, right?
Yeah, that I'm a social worker. I'm a social work officer
Mm-hmm.
at the council house.
Mm-hmm.
But on my LinkedIn, I put it like social care
Yeah.
analyst.
Yeah.
So is
No
that
bother
okay?
with. Yes, that's
Um,
perfect. See, the good thing is, and it's not against company policy, you can change your title as long as it's not totally, for example, maybe you're a social care worker and then you say that you're a director at that same place. That's when it's offensive. It's not even like they can do anything anyway, because it's your page. That's when it's, I mean, there's so much difference. But I mean, if you're saying social care worker, you can fine tune your what's it called? Your title. There's nothing wrong with that. Because this is
Yes,
you trying to build your personal brand and you know what you're looking for in the end. So
exactly.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Someone is even saying in the chat box that he has blocked all his co-workers and for him to post. So yeah, Daniel, we'll take you. Daniel, I think you can unmute now. We'll take you and then we'll have Rafia give us our parting words. Yeah, Daniel.
All right, thank you so much. I think it's fine now. Good evening, Rafiat. Good
Good
evening,
evening.
everybody. And
Evening.
yeah, thank you for this section. It was so insightful and
You're
it's an
welcome.
eye opener, to be honest. So I just wanted to pitch in on something. Depending the time we get the response, probably we get a job from this preferred content. You made mention of volunteer jobs. I don't know if you have probably any idea where we could fill in for jobs like that.
Okay.
Pending the time we get our
Are
preferred
you in
jobs. So
Nigeria
that's
or in the
that's that.
UK?
I'm in Nigeria.
Well, are you living in Nigeria now?
Yes, I'm living in Nigeria. I'm currently in
O-
Nigeria.
Okay.
Nigeria.
Okay. So for Nigeria, though I don't really know sites, but you can go so on LinkedIn, and you know where you
Okay.
have jobs on LinkedIn, there's a part where you have jobs. You can just search volunteering jobs in Nigeria, and then it will bring up like jobs for you. Also, like I said, you can also contact people from an organization and just tell them, or so you will have to draft like a letter letting them know that you're open to volunteering. So use those two methods. Search for volunteer jobs in Nigeria on LinkedIn and also reach out to people directly and say that even if their company, because if they don't have any volunteering job opening, it won't pop up. But you can reach out to them and say that you can actually intern with them for free, that you want to gain more experience, you want to do this and all that. Yes. And you'll be shocked that you might get, in fact, especially maybe small IT companies that are like startups. Trust me, a startup will willingly employ you.
Yeah,
So you
that's
can
that's
try that. Did you
Thank
get
you
that?
so much for that, Rafiat. Daniel, did you get
Yeah,
that?
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
All
Welcome.
right. We have so many hands raised. I would say they should follow the conversation with you on LinkedIn. So reach out to Rafia. She's always openly available for us. Yeah. So
No,
yeah, follow her on LinkedIn.
no, honestly, I mean, I'm open to answering you. I mean, I will try my best
Yeah.
to make sure that I mean, I answer as many people as I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so please reach out to Rafia, follow on LinkedIn, check our updates, and we can continue conversation here. We promise that I won't take much of our time, so we don't want to take more than we've asked for. Our LinkedIn is Rafiat or Dolphin. I'll drop it on the community so that you can also, reach out to her and connect with her and show her your workings as alumni of Penalitics. Yeah, so Rafia, before we go to your parting words, I just want to also remind our alumni that don't forget we are having a referral bonus currently on. We've upped the game. It's no longer $30. It's now $40. So when you refer your family, your friends, your colleagues, and you get a bonus of $40. So please don't forget that. Yeah, Rafia, over to you. We'll take your last words. The
Yeah.
one you'll be keeping for us.
Yeah. So one thing I always say is whether you're applying for a job directly through an opening, or you're reaching out to a recruiter on LinkedIn, or you're reaching out to a director on LinkedIn, always try. I mean, the worst that will happen is they will tell you a no, or they won't respond to you, or they will send an unfortunately message on the job. But always make sure you try. Because if you try, you'll be shocked at the kind of person. See, there are some people, because interviews, everything are subjective. Some people are opening to taking a chance on even somebody with no experience. Like I've seen people who got jobs and they had no experience because some people are willing. And yes, I would just quickly tell you something. I remember in 2018, my husband is a pharmacist by profession, and he's also okay, he had not even started data science then. So pharmacist, and he's worked in the pharmaceutical company all his life. He was pharmaceutical sales rep, and then he became a sales manager. In 2018, he got like a recruiter reached out to him from Coca-Cola, and they were like, oh, blah blah blah. And he went for the interview. So at that point, he was a white guy that was the director then. The guy wanted, guess what? In Coca-Cola, you must have had FMCG experience before they can employ you in sales, especially. But guess what? That director, he was just in Nigeria for 1 year. He wanted someone with a fresh perspective. He wanted somebody from another industry, someone that had sales experience, but from another industry entirely. In fact, they said he had interviewed about 10 people, some from Coca-Cola, some from other FMCGs. He said no, he didn't want them, that he wanted a breath of fresh air. And then my husband came, he interviewed in fact, my husband came home and told me that, babe, are you sure I will get this job? Because the interview was just for 25 minutes. This one that the guy did not ask questions. It was just like 25 minutes. He was just gisting with him. It was not, and he gave my husband the job, a sales manager role in Coca-Cola. But because that time, I think they've cultivated a culture of like, oh man, no man in Coca-Cola. This guy wanted fresh people that didn't know anybody, no politics and all that at that point. And that was how my husband got that job in Coca-Cola in 2018. So you never can say. Companies always have things that they focus on every year. Sometimes companies want people from another industry. They want that experience. Sometimes they could say that they want an older person because they believe in experience. Sometimes they could say they want a younger person. You don't know what the company wants at that time. What if you have that thing that the company wants at that time? And I mean, like I said, the worst they will tell you is either a no or they don't respond to you. But nobody is going to beat you or jail you for that. So as long as you're not going to go to jail for reaching out to a recruiter or for doing this, just try it. Keep trying. And don't also limit yourself and say, maybe I don't have experience. If I reach out to somebody in Oracle, will they answer me? No. The people there, ask yourself, are they human beings? Yes, they are human beings. So if they are human beings, then you have every right to also apply or reach out. So you just have to keep pushing. You need to keep pushing because I know how frustrating it can be, especially in this data world and all that. But you need to keep pushing. Just keep pushing and don't get tired. They always say that now give up, mess up, before up then. So yeah, just keep trying. That's it.
Wow, thank you so much, Rafael, for those kind words. And let's give Rafael our favorite emoji, as we call it a night. Thank you so much for your
You're
time,
welcome.
your words, your insights. It really means the world to us. I'm sure that alumni, our participants, really, have a felt of this topic that we're trying to dive into. And it's great to have you, and it's great to also know that they can reach out to you at any time,
Yeah.
and you always, yeah, I can see ants. They don't want you to go, but yeah, we don't want to keep you for too long. We've had you for too long. Yeah, thank you so much. Do have a lovely weekend, and
You're
yeah,
welcome anytime. And
please
thank you so
connect with
much for having
Rafiat.
me. It was really nice being here with you guys.
Thank you so much. People are
You're
still dropping
welcome.
their favorite emoji. It was have been a great time. Thank you so much, Rafiat.
Yeah, welcome.
Let's have a lovely night, everyone.
You
We'll
too.
see you at the
Thank
next
you.
community engagement. Bye.
Bye.